I know these two ingredients must be very confusing for you because they both look so similar together. The first one is baking soda, which is also called sodium bicarbonate or bicarbonate of soda, and its twin, the baking powder. They are both leavening agents because they both help in raising your food and making them fluffy. Mostly they are used in breads and cakes. But today we are going to see how we can differentiate between them. Let's start with number one, its content. Baking soda is only made up of one ingredient, that is bicarbonate of soda. And when we come to baking powder, it needs at least 3 ingredients to be made. That is an base, which is bicarbonate of soda itself, an acid, and a filler. A filler is something like a cornstarch that is used as a barrier between them so that they don't react together. Let's go to number 2, its texture. Baking soda has a very porous texture, something like a fine salt. And when you drop it off, it doesn't leave any residue or any kind of powder in your hand. And you can get a fine clean surface on your finger. While baking powder, when you touch it, or you can just feel the texture that it's very fine, the same texture as cornstarch. And when you drop it off, you will find residue remaining of fine powders. Number 3, how it reacts with water. When water is added to baking powder, it reacts instantly because it already has a base and an acid to react. It does start the reaction, but it's a slow reaction for a longer period of time, releasing carbon dioxide continuously. While baking soda does not react with water because it's only a base and doesn't contain any acid, so we will need to add an acid such as vinegar or lime juice. Number 4, we go to usage. Baking soda is used where you need instant raising, such as a cookie dough, which doesn't need a lot of fluff. While baking powder is used where the dough needs to rest and you need to also have a raise while it's baking or you're cooking it. Because it keeps reacting slowly and makes carbon dioxide while it's still in the process of baking, and we also use the mixture for mainly breads or cakes. Number 5, we go to concentration. Baking soda's concentration is much higher than baking powder because 1 tablespoon of baking soda is equal to 3 tablespoons of baking powder. Number 6, to check if your baking soda or baking powder have not expired. If you take the baking powder and add lukewarm water and it reacts, that means it's okay. If you take baking soda and you add an acid medium and it reacts, that means both your baking soda and baking powder have not expired and they're good to use. I wanted to add some pro tips that you must have seen that they use baking soda to cook, and sometimes people also call it cooking soda. Well, it's not to fluff up the beans or the peas, It's used so that you make the solution alkaline while cooking. So it makes it more tender and soft for the peas or the beans to cook. So that's why they use it. A pinch of baking soda is also used in crispy fried foods. They make them crispy by reacting with if you have put any kind of acid in it like buttermilk, and sometimes with the spices also that make the fried food more crispy. There is some baking powder called double acting baking powders, which means that they contain 2 acids. Like the baking soda, when it comes in contact with the acid, it reacts instantaneously. But this will react the first time when it comes in contact with the acid medium, and the second will activate when you heat it up in the oven. So I hope I cleared your doubt with baking powder and baking soda, and stay hungry for more.